Wednesday morning. Oh, look at the state of the weather. I don't want to get out the van. I really don't. But I've got a Adblue injector on the van for this 210. This is one of those jobs that I've just never got back to because the machine's been out of the road, sort of calling to, and there's been more pressing matters to attend to. So the fact that he's got to put an extra drum of Adblue into his machine a week hasn't really been top of my priority list. But I'm getting caught up and I thought I'll just nip into this one. It's actually in a handier spot than it's ever been, so I'm just gonna quickly fire an injector into it. That's the plan. Let him have it back to work and see if that improves the Adblue consumption. So yeah, really don't want to get out the van this morning. It's like autumn, middle of winter. It's July. It's the, what is it, the 3rd or the 4th of July? Don't know. It's July. We should be t-shirts and shorts and sunglasses. Instead I've still got my gilet on. What is even the temperature out there today? 11 degrees. 11 degrees in July. Okay, suck it up. Get on with it. Don't complain. Right, because it's been so long since I visited this and made a decision that I was going to change this injector before I take it out and show you. The story is this customer has 4 or 5 of these 210s, and this one seems to be using a drum of Adblue per week more. When I've been at other machines for either other jobs or servicing, I'm able to use my laptop to pull a download off it. So although all the machines will be on different hours, you can still see how the machine has been working for the majority of its life, and this machine isn't working any less or any harder or any different to certainly 2 machines that I've looked at that seems to be using sort of 2 drums a week. This one's up to 3 drums a week. So all the working ranges that the machines are working in seem to be pretty identical, but this one seems to be using more. When I've investigated it in the past, first time I looked into it was on a service. I pulled the injector out and the tip was all crystallized up. So I cleaned it all up, put it back in just to see if that improved it. It didn't, and then I think about 2 to 3 weeks later I came back, pulled that injector out, and it was worse than ever. I've run the spray pattern test. The spray pattern is good once the injector tip is clean, but obviously with the injector tip being all crystallized up, it doesn't spray nicely and neatly, and it kind of like dribbles off at the end as well. So I'm going to replace this and see if it uses any less. It could be that the mixer tube isn't mixing it. I don't really know, but it might just be this machine, just one of them. Each machine is slightly different, I suppose, but you'd expect if they're doing the same sort of work, regardless of whether it's down here or up on top of a hillside, they should be using roughly the same amount. If they're using roughly the same amount of fuel, if the engine range is roughly within 18 to 1900 RPM for most of the day, you would... Oh, and you can also see how much load the pumps are putting on the machine as well. You'd have to go back and find the video where I showed you the comparison between 2 machines, this machine and another one. But anyway, that's the story. That's why I'm here. I'm going to clamp these hoses off because these are full of coolant to keep the injector cool. This is the Adblue line, and this is the wire here that fires the injector. So we just need to unplug it and clamp these off, swap it out. So there's my Adblue injector. I don't think it seems as bad as previous visits, but you can see there that that's the bit in there. There's like 6 or 7 holes in this piece here, and it's that kind of atomizes the Adblue and makes it into a mist. So you can see if all that's got a crust on it, it's not going to be a mist, it's going to be more like a jet. So therefore, if it's a, if it's a mist, there's more surface area to treat the emissions, isn't there? Whereas a jet, there's less surface area to treat the emissions. So therefore, it's still treating the emissions. It's not putting any engine management lights on the dash, but it's going to use more Adblue to keep the emissions happy. It's serious. I'm sure I said it before, but that exhaust cover there, it's almost a two-man job to lift that thing off. And you see the injectors there, just a little cubby hole, a little door, or even if this thing was on a hinge with the bonnet. Because let's face it, these days, you need fairly regular access to these, although, they haven't been that bad. I say they haven't been that bad, but still, when you do want to get into there, you want it to be a job where you don't need to get a second man to give you a hand. Anyway, there's my new injector. In fact, is it slightly different or not? I don't think it is. No, it's not. We'll get that on. Coming away now. I'll let them have a go with that over the next week or so. See if it improves it. Yeah, just a pointer that's worth noting, because it's what I've sort of learned when I've been asking people about Adblue consumption and how much should they use. There isn't a set figure as to how much Adblue a machine should use, because it all depends on how it works, how much fuel it uses, etc, etc. So there's no kind of it should only use a tank of Adblue a week, because it all depends on the work that it's doing. Those Dash 7 diggers will use more Adblue than the previous generation of Dash 5 diggers, and that is due to the way in which we treat the emissions to bring the emissions up to standard, or the latest standard. So in the Dash 5 diggers we had EGR, DOC, SCR, and it's EGR. EGR will help reduce the NOx because it's recirculating its exhaust gas, and that is the purpose of EGR, to reduce NOx. Whereas in that machine we don't have EGR anymore, but we have DPF. So it's DOC, DPF, SCR, but no EGR. So it's not recycling its own exhaust gases, but it's collecting all the black soot and it's burning it all off. And because it's not using EGR, the NOx is naturally going to be higher, so it's going to take more Adblue to treat the NOx. And that is why you will use more Adblue in a latest generation machine to the previous generation machine. And it's all just to make sure that we meet the latest emissions regulations. So that's stage 5 now, isn't it, I think? Euro 6, I think. Anyway, I know it's stage 5. That's all we need to know. Anyway, I have got another 225 that's using a lot of Adblue, which I'm going to try and get a hold of next, but first I need some diesel. That's why I wanted to go and do that one today, get him set off, running it with a new injector, because when I go to this next digger we should be able to see if that one looks the same as that injector and go from there. Okay, so we're at the second machine. This one's a 225. Yeah, this one's using slightly more than 3 drums of Adblue a week apparently. And it's not getting work like 10 to 12 hours a day, it's doing sort of 8 or 9 apparently. I'll be able to confirm that with my laptop when I plug into it and have a look. But look at this. That is the exact idea that I think those 210s should have. This isn't standard, this will have all been done at a different engineering spot, but that is a good idea. See, if any of these bolts snap, A, you can spot it from outside, and B, if any of these bolts snap, you just put new bolts and nuts and bolts on. I'm going to take a picture of that. That is what I want to see on these forestry machines, 20-ton forestry machines. I was thinking actually, never had a bother with this fella's track guides. He's been using 20-tonners full time for doing the same forestry work that those 210s are. And I've never had to do anything with his track guides, and that's why. Obviously, when he buys the machine, he takes it somewhere, gets it all forestry guarded, and has that done to the undercarriage. It's a very good idea. Right, I'll plug into the machine and you will join me looking at a computer screen, which makes sense to me, but probably not to you because I'm terrible at describing what I'm looking at. Okay, so looking at this report, we can see the operating hours that he's doing each day, roughly around 7 to 8 hours a day, but apparently it's wanting a tank of Adblue just about every day. There's nothing that tells you the Adblue consumption because it doesn't really monitor it, so I can't disprove that. Can look at how the machine's been worked. So if we look in the operation mode, you can see here total hours it's done is 1760. It's done nearly 1,000 hours in power mode, 500 hours or 400 hours sorry in standard mode. So it's been working in sort of mid-range. Engine RPM range, we've got 400 hours, well 387 hours below 1200 RPM, but the majority of it is 16 to 1700 RPM. But apparently it's just been getting, it's been a noticeable change in Adblue consumption. Yeah, some good numbers here in the engine torque range to suggest that it has been working hard. I mean, generally you'll find a lot of it will be in this sort of area here, but it has been getting up into the 80% engine load, engine torque range. So the engine has been working, because engine load wise, when you're lifting and swinging back, that's easy work for the engine. It's only when you're digging in, and that's only really momentarily, especially in the mounding job, you're only kind of digging hard and then lifting up, and then the rest of the time you're just placing out your mounds, if that makes sense. It's not a particularly demanding job for a machine of this size, but it has been. Normally I would expect to see lower figures, so it has been worked. So yeah, let's start then with the basics. Adblue quality. If Adblue quality is lower than it should be, then obviously it's going to use more Adblue, because if the quality is poor, then it's going to dose more Adblue in there to bring the emissions down. So we'll open the engine diagnostic tool and we'll have a look at the Adblue quality. I'll see what the machine thinks the Adblue quality is, and then I'll verify that with my tester. How much Adblue have we got? 2/3 of a tank, which isn't ideal for me to try and get a sample, but it is what it is. So I am looking at, where's it gone? DEF concentration, 32.7%, so it's not too bad. We're obviously looking for, is it 33.5%, aren't we? That's optimal. So we'll just double check that now with me refractometer, make sure that's all within spec. And then we'll have a visual inspection of Adblue lines, make sure there's no leaks, make sure there's not a big pile up of crust somewhere where it's been leaking, and that would explain an Adblue leak, wouldn't it? Or Adblue consumption. That is next on my list of jobs to do. Okay, so I can't get a sample straight out of the tank because the tank level's too low. So I've got a sample out of the Adblue Adblue filter housing. Here's what it looks like. Hopefully. So that line between 30 and 35 is where it should be, but it's almost at 36. That isn't a good result. That's not the result that I want. But how accurate is that sample? Because the machine's reading 32.7. I've spoken to warranty, and it's already had the new type Adblue quality sensor, so that should be accurate, or reasonably accurate. So what I'm going to do now is kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to, because it's a big job to get a tank sample, or am I just being lazy? To get a proper tank sample, I need to take that step off. Then I need to take the pipes off the quality sensor, pull the quality sensor out just to get my pipette in there to get a sample. So, am I doing the right? Because what I was going to do is do a spray test. I'll be able to see what the spray pattern of the Adblue injector is, but I'll also be able to collect a sample in here and then sample it. Although in fairness, that isn't the cleanest pot. I'm in a rock and a hard place here. I'm going to do it properly. We'll do it by the book. We'll get a tank sample. Okay, that didn't take as long as I thought it would. It wasn't too bad. I don't know why I ummed and ahed. Looking in there, the Adblue is clean. I can see all the way at the bottom. There's no debris in there, anything nasty. So whatever's in there is clean. Just need to get my hand in there now and get a sample. Okay, here is the sample. Absolutely bang on the line. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, we're a little bit later on in the day since we last spoke, because I've been on the phone with somebody trying to troubleshoot a problem. Whether we go and see that problem, I'm not sure. I've got another problem here though, but first I'll just finish off on the Adblue concentration. Yeah, if I'd have taken those results from the Adblue filter unit, then that would have led me astray, wouldn't it? I would have drained the Adblue tank thinking that it was all too high a concentration, filled it with fresh stuff and told the customer to try it. So it does go to show you, you've got to do your due diligence, haven't you? You've got to follow the steps in a logical and sensible order. Right, what I am going to tell you is I can't get that bit of tailpipe off, which is really annoying. I've tried smacking it about with a hammer, but I'm just going to end up damaging it. So I'm going to try and lift this cover up and over it. That last one that I was at, I got the tailpipe off, and I could sort of lift it up like the bonnet without having to lift it, you know, lift it all the way off, which was really helpful, because at the end of the day I just need to be behind this mesh grill here. So yeah, I'll whiz these bolts out and get under here and we'll have a look at this injector. Okay, pull this injector out and have a look at it. I've got this tipped up enough to be in it what I want, but bloody hell, I won't like to lift that blooming thing off on my own too often. It was a fight just to get it into that position, to be fair. Right, you don't need to see me snap these bolts into here, so I'll crack the first. Oh, they're going to come. That one is anyway. Let's try this in. They're well rusted, aren't they? Hands away. Right, last one. Is this going to ruin my day or not? No. Marvellous. Right, I'll pull this off and I'll show you what I find. There we go. We've got a little bit of... It's not as bad as the last one, is it? You can actually see the little needle holes there where it injects in comparison to the last one, but it's still furred up. So what I'm going to do is run injector test into my cup, and we'll see what the spray pattern looks like. If I can get my cup into there, I'll make it go that way, I think. We'll see what it looks like. hot fire, so you should be able to hear the Adblue pump ramping up. And if we go up here and wait patiently, we should be able to see the injector spraying. That's what I'm hoping. Any minute now. I've waited up here for about 5 minutes, so I went back downstairs. Thought, is the pressure ramping up? And it wasn't. So, come back to my laptop. And I've tried to do it about 10 times and it won't work. It's in the pressure build-up stage at the minute. So that pump should be going. We should be seeing that pressure go up. But it isn't, the pump isn't buzzing. Click OK, stop that, go away. If I go to, so the issue is, it's not doing the test. All the conditions are ready. There's no reason why it shouldn't do the test. And if one of the conditions wasn't ready, you get a pop-up saying that the temperature in the exhaust is too high. That's normally the common one, because normally you're doing this test when the machine's just been running, which is why I haven't started it yet. But if I go to the leak test, for example, basically all that does is runs the machine up to, or runs the Adblue system up to the operating pressure, and makes sure that it holds pressure. So if I click start on that, test in progress, 118 seconds. Can watch this Adblue pressure here go up to about 9 bar. I can hear the pump from here buzzing away. It's kicked itself out, which is what it's doing on the pressure build-up test. I have got it up to 9 bar a minute ago. I think it kind of boosts up to 2 bar. I think it did this last time. And then it should pick back up again, but it isn't. Oh God, what's going on? No, it's not having it. Can't even hear the pump and the time's nearly out. Did that last time. I'm sure it went up to 2 bar and then backed off a bit and then ramped it all the way up to the full 9 bar, because oh well, I'll just have a nosy over it, make sure there was no leaks. There wasn't any. Weird, eh? This is making things very difficult and tricky for me. There we go, I've got it now, somehow, somewhere. That's it, building it up to the pressure. It's above the working pressure now, 10 point something bar. The idea is you then go and walk around all your Adblue lines and check for leaks, which I've already done. And it isn't doing it. Well, you know, we haven't got any leaks. I'll wait for this test to finish and then I'll see if it'll do the run up, see if it'll do the dosing test again. So I know the pump can get up to 9 bar. There's no reason why it shouldn't go up to 9 bar in the dose and quantity test. Alright, I'll try again. It's doing the system emptying. We've got a negative pressure because the pressure, it's drawing all the Adblue back to the tank through the pump. You can hear the pump whirring away. Now it's pressure build up. That pressure should go up to 9 bar, stabilise, and then start injecting, and I should be able to see a spray pattern. See if we can get higher than 2.6. See? 3.7, it kicked itself out. How am I supposed to check the blooming... Really annoyed. Really annoying. Is that part of the problem? How can that be part of the problem? I know it builds up pressure because I've done the leak test. It's a real head scratcher, it really is. Alright, I've been on the phone to my colleague, asking if he's ever done a metering test like that I'm trying to do on a Dash 7. He hadn't, but his suggestion was using this other. So this is the one off the machine that I took this morning, seeing if that makes any odds to it. I'm not too confident it will. But I've definitely done this test before with that laptop, with that software version of that program, because I used it when I diagnosed this being a bit, it wasn't a mist, was it, if I remember rightly? It was more of a, you know, I can't get my words out, you know, the jet rather than a mist. So we'll see if that makes any odds. Just weird though, I can get the pressure build-up test to do 9 bar, but I can't get the metering test to build up to 9 bar. Right, we'll try again. System emptying. So you can see it's going down the way. Pressure build-up, so that should go up to 9 bar now. But like I said, it seems to want to stop. That's it. That's all it's given us. I just want to see what it looks like when it's injecting. The only other way I can do it is fire it into a forced regen and then pull that out, but that'll be 600 degrees. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me. Why is it doing that? See, look, it's still saying pressure build up even now, and it isn't building the pressure. You'd have thought after a certain time of it being unable to build up the pressure, it would tell you unable to build the pressure. Very strange. Try the leak test. Oh, I didn't want to do it that time either. Trying though. There we go. Able to keep the pressure up there, look. 9 bar, which is your operating pressure. Yeah, I've been on the phone to my boss about it, wondering what I'm doing wrong, but it could be that there's a pressure switch in the pump, and it could be that it's okay ramping the pressure right up, but when it's trying to vary the pressure, keep the pressure, it's not able to, and it could be something in the pump that's doing that. So we maybe have stumbled across the problem, but what I'm going to do, clean that tip up and then bang it into a regen and monitor the Adblue pressure, see if it seems stable or not. Bit of a disaster of a job this. I was hoping I was going to spend an hour at this, show you some Adblue troubleshooting, and then come away and order something. Been here 4 hours now, all I've done is nothing. Never mind. Here comes the rain now, and it's coming down fairly hard. Okay, I've changed my mind with what I'm going to do. The machine's not going anywhere for a while, so I'm going to come back when I've got an Adblue pump, put it on it, see if I can get the Adblue pressure to come up, so I can do that test. I've just trapped my finger, see how bruising's coming out in it, it's even burst the skin. Putting this exhaust cover on, that exhaust cover that I complain about every time I touch one. So I've totally fallen out with it. I just feel like I've achieved nothing this afternoon. If the machine was in a different situation whereby it was poorly, you know, it was on a site. Basically, the machine's not going anywhere. It doesn't need to go to work, so I've got time to come back to it and figure it out. Put an Adblue pump on it, see if I can get the pressure up for the test, and then go from there. Could be that the Adblue pump's causing it, but I can't see how it's using more Adblue by the Adblue pressure not being able to raise. Saying that, if the Adblue pressure's low, then it isn't going to mist and atomize. It's not going to go into there as a mist, it's just going to more dribble in. That's just hearsay though, isn't it? Because I can't see what it's doing. It does seem like a plausible answer. My finger is really sore. My trigger finger. Right. I'm gonna go home and sulk. You have them days, don't you? Right. Tell you what we need the professional struggler to come here with his compressor and just blow it all out. Have you seen that video? If you haven't already, go and have a look at it, because aye. Right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.